Ashen Maneater, the ogre that learned the ways of the ninjas. Slightly clumsy, but that doesn't stop him from descending upon his enemies and give them a swift but gruesome death with his flashy ninja slices and kicks. And to add insult to injury, he poses like a true weeb after he covers you in katana cuts. The Ashen Maneater is a strange ogre among his kind, somehow managed to be sneaky despite being a clumsy ogre. As stealthy as an ogre can ever be, he has stalk and strider, allowing him to ambush his targets from unexpected angle using the Vanguard deployment trait. On top of that, being an ogre, he is deceptively tanky. 6500 HP plus physical resistance and missile resistance, 25% by the way, that is above your average 15% character missile resistance, allowing him to absorb quite a bit of punishment. Now for the melee stats, really solid for an ogre, 55 attack and 50 melee defense, one of the best fighters among the ogres unless you look at those legendary melee lords and heroes. He has the Ashen Sweeping Blade, but most of his weapon strength is armor piercing, so he doesn't quite need that. Anti-infantry bonus plus solid weapon strength allows him to cleave through enemy infantry targets, making him a great assassin. On top of that, his active abilities have some great utility. Marked for Eaton, a speed debuff, armor debuff, and a significant melee defense debuff, making his target more vulnerable. And then the Maneater Smoke Bomb, speed buff, melee defense buff, and also unspottable. More importantly, the Smoke Bomb causes explosion to disrupt enemy formations, allowing the Maneater to escape from an enemy infantry surround. The first tactic that comes to mind on using the Ashen Maneater is definitely to surprise your opponent using its stalk and Vanguard deployment. Just like here, the Ashen Maneater sneaking up on the Hellforged Bellowers, who is a little too absorbed on shooting the ogre armies on the front. The ambush is a success, leaving a dent on the HP bar of the Skull Cannon. Being a deadly assassin, the Ashen Maneater's main role in battle is to strike soft targets, like casters. Even if his target is mounted, he can still momentarily keep up by using the Marked for Eaton speed debuff, and also his own speed buff from the Smoke Bomb. Combined with his fat belly that gives him additional mass to push his way through lighter enemy resistance, he can relentlessly hunt down exposed weak spots of an enemy's army. Against tougher targets like some of the top tier legendary fighters, the Ashen Maneater might not have the melee stats to defeat them in a fair fight, but ninjas don't fight fair. Once again, using his Smoke Bomb and his Mark, he can briefly even the odds by manipulating melee stats. Combined with his thick HP pull, Weeping Blade, and solid anti-infantry weapon strength, and a little bit of Ogre signature healing. The Ogre Ninja can even go toe-to-toe against a fully decked out Prince Sigvold. Of course, Sigvold still took the win in the end, but that is still very impressive from our Ninja Ogre. The Ashen Maneater might be anti-infantry by design, but his solid weapon strength, especially the armor piercing, can certainly leave a mark on even the larger, tougher combatants, particularly when he gets the charge. If the Ashen Maneater got stuck in the middle of enemy infantry, just like the typical ninja in movies and anime, he can drop a smoke bomb knocking over surrounding enemy troops, clearing a path by disrupting enemy formations and making a clean escape. Though of course against cavalry and monsters who have enough mass to pin him down and doesn't get knocked over by the smoke bomb, a lone Maneater won't be able to escape. Surprising enough, the Ashen Maneater, other than being a lone assassin, actually can support his army very well. His Marked for Eaton debuff can target any unit, just like these Code 1 Spear Riders here, getting their armor, speed, and melee defense reduced. It can even synergize with other debuffs like the Yetis here, providing that Frostbite as well as the Aura of Frost, slowing down the Code 1 Spear Riders down to infantry speed, making combat much more favorable for the Piggyback Knights and Yetis. Other debuffs like Curse of Honor Air or the Dismember Army ability might work well here too. Other than that, the Weeping Blade contact effect of the Ashen Maneater might not benefit him a lot, but the Ogre Kingdoms does have a lot of high weapon strength but low armor piercing units, like the Ogre Bulls and Saber Tusk packs. Combining Weeping Blade and Marked for Eaton, the Familiar Warriors are now down to only 25 armor from their usual 110. Their melee defense is also down to a meager 2. This gives a huge damage burst to these Ogre Bulls. Saber Tusk packs also gonna have a good time against the Familiar Warriors now that there's no more armor to mitigate their high weapon strength. To be fair, Ogres don't really need the armor debuff since they already have plenty of armor piercing on their roster. But the melee defense reduction of the Marked for Eaton is a nice addition to the Ogres, making their units even deadlier in melee combat. Of course, despite all the nice things I just said, the Ashen Maneater is still a squishy ogre that doesn't have a lot of armor and a large hitbox. Even with the physical and missile resistances, if he gets focused fire or being surrounded by anti-large units, he will still go down, and he will go down fast. If you're taking him to battle, definitely keep an eye on him and avoid getting into awkward situations where he can get focused down. Overall, the Ashen Maneater is a super fun unit to play with. The devs giving him all the flashy anime sword moves, and posing is a really nice touch to the unit. His voice lines are also hilarious, so you should definitely listen to them if you have a chance. On the battlefield, he is a nimble assassin, having Vanguard deployment and stalk to ambush enemies from unsuspected angles. using his solid melee power to pick off exposed single entities. Tactically, his abilities open up a lot of interesting combos for the Ogres, and I would recommend playing around with them and combine them with different spells and abilities of the Ogres to test things out. The Ashen Maneater probably won't be a meta unit, but definitely he is one of my favorite unit designs in the entire Omens of Destruction DLC. Just look at him go.